Paul, 5 cup finals left to play now.
Yeah, exactly. Most boring answer ever. Game at a time, day at a time. 5 big games left for lots of teams in the league.
How easy or difficult is it? Because, the players be well aware of the situation. They'll look at the table as well. Just taking that little bit of pressure off them so they can go out there and play with the freedom that they need to play with to get that result.
Well, I think there's pressure on every team at 3 o'clock on every Saturday. I don't perceive there being a great deal of pressure on us. There's 3 teams above us. It's nowhere near in our own hands. So we've just got to go and make it as difficult as possible for the teams above us and a couple of teams below us as well.
That table hasn't got any less tight, has it?
No, it's crazy. It's we said probably it's the tightest league in Europe last week, and there's nothing to have happened in 7 days that's changed that.
And it's a tribute, I suppose, to 6th tier football that it is so competitive.
Yeah, I think it's anyone in the league can beat anyone, as you've seen all season. I also think the biggest thing is there hasn't been a runaway team. There hasn't been. There's been some outstanding team efforts, but there hasn't been one team that has blown the league away like Yeovil did last year. I think Ebbsfleet did the year before. It is crazy tight, and with 5 games to go for it to be as tight as it is, points wise and goal difference wise as well. There's only a few goals swinging in with a few teams. It's crazy, really.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where everybody finishes when the music stops.
Absolutely, yeah.
What are you expecting from Chesham? They look relatively safe now, don't they?
I think they've had a fantastic season. It's very, very difficult when you first get promoted out of the Southern Premier League to cement your place in the National League South, to consolidate, which they've done more than comfortably as well. They've got a very good away record. I know the managers there. I've managed against them a lot when I was at Truro, and listen, they're going to be strong. They're going to be well organised. They'll be physical, and I'm sure they're coming down to enjoy the day. They've got zero pressure on them, so I'm sure they're coming down here to give a good account of themselves and try and get a result.
Injury-wise, how are you looking?
We're good. It's only Dylan Morgan, who like we spoke about, is out for the season. Other than that, we're fine.
How big a part of the Yellow Army got to play in the next 5 games?
Well, it's as big a part as they ever have had, really. They've been phenomenal all season. They've been great with myself, great with the players, and I think it's a stage of the season where I think that everyone can see how important it is, and the more fans we get in here and the more support we get can only be a benefit.
You enjoying it all?
No. No, listen, it's great. It's to be in this position with 5 games to go. When I first come into the club, from where the club was to now, is fantastic. And as I've been saying for a few weeks now, you have to enjoy it. You have to embrace it. I put pressure on myself every day anyway, so that pressure's irrelevant to me completely. It's there to be enjoyed. If you don't enjoy it, what would you rather be? Mid-table, playing for nothing, can't go up, can't go down. I'd rather be at the top battling for something special than I've been in relegation fights before, and that is pressure, that is stressful. Listen, you've got to smile, you've got to try and enjoy it.
Thank you, Paul. Best of luck.
No problem. Cheers, thank you.
Looking at the last 5 games, you're on the best form of the season so far. The form is fantastic. We've scored 6 goals in 5 games, but we've only conceded 2. We won the last 3 1-0. For a defender, this is fantasy football, isn't it? This is your this is what you're all about.
What dreams are made of. Yeah, listen, clean sheets are vital. It's being an ex-defender. I always got as much satisfaction from a clean sheet as a striker did from scoring. I think the 1-0s have been comfortable 1-0s. Relatively untroubled in all 3 games, to be honest, thankfully. The boys are in a good place. I actually think they're enjoying it now. I think it's we talk about pressure and expectations and stuff. I think every football player puts themselves under pressure anyway. So, and I don't feel there's any pressure on us. You know, if someone had said at the start of the year, you know, there's a good chance you're going to finish in the playoffs, brilliant. You know, if we still got this chance of maybe achieving something very, very special, brilliant. You know, it's the boys are in a good place. They seem happy. They seem comfortable.
And Cody said after the game he doesn't want to become a super sub, but he's doing pretty well at that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. You know, I will reiterate that Cody physically this year has been through an awful lot. You know, he's carried the load on his own for lots and lots of games. He's been a battering ram really, and he's been kicked from pillar to post. So, you know, signing Zanzala and Code having that little niggle, that little calf strain, I think it's coincided with him. I think the 2 games he's come, he's looked really fresh. He's looked back to where he was at the start of the season. So I think it's been beneficial, and that little rest for him, I think, has been very, very important.
And just last one from me, a couple of things happened almost immediately after the press conference last week. He did make a couple of signings.
Yeah.
Owen Foster and Cameron Asher. Talk us through those two a little bit.
Well, Cameron is someone, we had to sign a goalkeeper before deadline day finished to give us the option of having a goalkeeper on the bench in any playoff games if we get into them. So that's the reasoning behind that one. He's a good goalkeeper. He's played, you know, League One, League Two, Conference, so we know all about him. He comes highly recommended. Cameron Asher is someone I've known about all season. Really good friend of mine at Huddersfield, David Fox, is loans manager, who I coached at Plymouth, and he's been in touch with me all season. Cameron Asher is one really that we're bringing in for him to experience a different side of football. He's highly thought of. He's technically very, very good, and Cam's come in to impress me in training. And if he does the business, then he'll go into the squad. And if he does the business better than that, he'll go into the team.
Good stuff.
You signed him and Ilisandmi, and neither of them was involved last Saturday at Aveley. In your mind, how are you going to get them into the mix? It's very tight, isn't it? You've got most of the squad fit, and there's only 5 damn spots available.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I mean, the reason Cam wasn't involved was it went through very late on deadline day, and he had to get himself down from Huddersfield, and he wouldn't have had a chance to train with us. And the reason Manny wasn't involved was I just felt like he was lacking a little bit of match fitness, not clinically fit, but match fitness. So we addressed that this week. We had a behind closed doors game on Tuesday against the college team, stroke under 18s, and the boys who haven't been playing many minutes played in that, and that was a success. And Manny got a couple of goals in that, and he looked fit. So after a hard week's training, he'll come into the reckoning for Saturday.
You said Cody's given you something to think about.
Yeah.
How do you go through that thought process? Do you just look at the two of them in training and think one's ahead of the other, or not?
Yeah, I do judge a lot of players on how they train. I think it's really important you train out how you play. I don't think any of us are good enough to coast through training and expect to turn it on a Saturday, and myself included. I like players who train very seriously and train hard, and they both do. And they've both got similar attributes, but they're also quite different as well. You know, Ozzy's scored a couple of goals. Cody's come on and scored us 2 winners. So, you know, it's going to be a tough decision. And like I said, Manny, although in a behind closed doors game against younger opponents, only scored 2 goals, but he comes into the thought process as well. So, and obviously, you know, Matty J's not a winger. You know, he's helping me out by playing there, and you can see what a good teammate he is by getting his head down and getting on with it. MJ's a centre forward, so we've got good options, and it's about who I feel is the freshest, who's in a good run of form, the opposition we're playing, you know, all those sorts of things. So it's a tough decision for me.
When it comes to decisions like that, do you knock it back and forth with Mikey, and or is it you that makes that final
we get a coin out and we do best of 3. Yeah, of course. I speak to Mikey. You know, he probably say I phoned him too much. You know, it's always a sounding board. Yeah, we discuss most decisions, and also listen. Sometimes you got to go with your gut as well. I think it's
The feeling.
yeah, I think so. I think it's sometimes you just think that's the way I'm going, and you can't really explain it. You just got a feeling that one's going to work, and hopefully it does.
And is Manny an option out wide? Could Manny?
In
He's instinctively a striker, isn't he? But,
Yeah.
But he's reasonably quick. Could he?
He's a quick, powerful boy, and he's got good football intellect as well. So I don't know as an out and out winger, Dave.
Oh no. Yeah.
Like in a quite
10, 15 minutes
quite a
spell,
narrow
isn't it?
front 3, I think Manny
Yeah.
could do a job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're in the thick of it. You're having to think game to game at the minute.
Yeah.
But widening that out a little bit, what would success look like for Torquay this season?
I think getting in the playoffs is a magnificent achievement this year. From when I first walked in the door, you know, where the club was an awful lot of uncertainty even after the consortium had taken over. I spoke to lots of players recruitment-wise in the summer, and lots of them were very cautious about Torquay, understandably so. It's funny now because I'm getting phone calls now from agents and players who I'd spoke to in the summer. You know, is that offer or that option still available for next year? So we've obviously changed people's perceptions of the football club, which is great. You know, personally, I think at times we've exceeded expectations this year, and there's also been other times when results or performances or last minutes have been disappointing, which is the nature of the beast, you know. I think playoffs is a major achievement.
If it does go the whole way, and if we end up playing a playoff final, that's likely to put your planning back by a couple of weeks, in it.
Yeah.
Torquay have suffered for that in the past.
Yeah.
Presumably those discussions are ongoing, and you're sort of trying to plan for which division we might be in, are you?
Yeah, it's a really good question because it's difficult. Because, you know, if, and I've said that word so many times this year, if we're fortunate enough to be in a higher division, then hopefully the budget changes. You know, hopefully then you're looking at different players. You're looking at which retain list becomes different. You know, it's a cool business, football, that becomes different. So the players you're looking for becomes different, your retain list becomes different. I think there's also the factor, Clive, as well, that, again, if we're fortunate enough to get into the playoff final, which is May the 17th, 18th, I think, then we need to know what date the season starts. I mean, the Football League starts, I think it's the 2nd of August. I'm presuming our league will start on the 9th of August. Then I normally do a 6-week pre-season from May the 18th to June the 20th. It's not a lot of time, so then you've got to adjust that, and it's all up in the air. It's all a grey area, and I'm very black and white in my thinking. I don't like grey areas, so it's a bit awkward. But you're right; it's a good question, and it does throw a spanner in the works, definitely.
You've got one big board on one side of your desk and another big board on the other side of the desk,
Yeah.
and one's a yes and one's a...
Yeah. It's you know, it's
You have to think.
You have to plan for every scenario, you know. And I'm not saying it's not difficult. It's a bit time consuming, you know, and especially when you're fully focused on what's happening in the last 5 games. So I think it's you have to plan for like immediate short term. You have to plan for today, immediate short term, Saturday. Although I always try never to look too far ahead than the other game, you've got to start looking a little bit further ahead now. It's great for the players because all the players have got to do today is get through Thursday, and then tomorrow get through Friday. Saturday take care of itself. You know, rest Sunday, get through Monday, get through Tuesday. Day by day, before you know it, April 26th will be here like that. So just makes you wish you was a player. But you know, there's lots of plannings to do, but it's there's 2 different scenarios in my head for ultimately recruitment and squad lists.
Does Easter fall at an awkward time for you this year? In the run of the the schedule. So there's 2 games close together.
No,
the week before the end of the season.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that.
A lot can change over those 3 games, can't it?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it will change again Saturday at 5 o'clock. Saturday after it will change again. But Friday, Monday could be the defining couple of games, couldn't it? Yeah. I stick to what I've said. I genuinely believe it will go last 5 minutes of the last game. It's too close to not.
And has the not having to play midweek games last week, this week, and next week, has that been the help that you hoped it would be?
I feel it's been very beneficial.
Yeah.
Very beneficial. I think you can, or I can see in the players, I can see they're mentally fresher, definitely. Training's been really good. We haven't had to train at a crazy tempo. We're just ticking over, really. Boys are kind of coaching themselves at the minute. It's been good. It's definitely been a good mental break for myself and the players.